Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Life is not easy sometimes. We got so much going on. We got devices here. We got people over here. You got a job over here. It can be overwhelming. And we're going to do something today to ease some of that craziness, which leads to stress and anxiety. And it's all about energy healing, but specifically through sound. And that's what she does. That's our intention today in terms of the sound. It is making things less overwhelming. Barb Sounds is back with us, live and direct from Canada. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not even overwhelmed.
I'm not going to lie. I am. I got so much. I got, people texting me. My daughter's like, I need a ride here. I'm like, I need a break.
Yeah. Well, I think for overwhelm, I wanted to play for overwhelm today because I think actually, I mean, it's easy to blame everything on COVID and stuff, but I think after the last 3-4 years we've had and just the way that the world is right now, I think pretty much everybody's on overwhelm, and overwhelm is like really, I think for me, it's a kind of feeling like there's too much happening. I can't deal with it all.
Oh, yeah.
There's too much, like you were saying, there's too much stuff going on. But it's also our trust in our ability to deal with all of that stuff. So I'm finding that people now are, there's not a heck of a lot that's changed in their lives since 4 or 5 years ago, but people are having a harder time with it. So, things that wouldn't have made me even blink an eye, that come up 4 or 5 years ago, let's say, now, something pops up and we just kind of go, I don't have room for this. I don't have time for this. I can't focus on this. And I think overall, the information that we're all getting, like on the news and on social media and stuff, it's all crazy and it's all bad. And it's not that everything is bad and crazy in the world, but we start to feel like that, right? And I think that just increases our overwhelm.
What's interesting, Barb? We last time, or a few other times, when we did a sound healing, it was specific for maybe anxiety, maybe depression, whatever it might be. The overwhelm is almost like the umbrella above all of that. So we're kind of going to the top here, and then the trickle down. Also there's so much that could come with the overwhelm. Of course, the anxiety, the stress, the hypertension. Could be even FOMO, fear of missing out, because I really want to do that, but I can't because I got to do this over here. But I really, all of that, if we start here, I think it's it's kind of a broad stroke if you're painting.
Yeah. And I think it's a little crazy making for people. And I think part of the sort of anger and frustration and all of those other things that are happening with people, like, whenever I'm driving, people are just like crazy. I don't know if it's like that where you are, but people have no patience. They don't seem to, and I think they're super frustrated. And I think it all comes under that umbrella of overwhelm. But the other thing that's hidden inside of overwhelm, I think, is a lack of safety. So
explain that.
Well, if I feel safe, physically safe, but mentally, emotionally safe, if I just have a feeling of safety, like I'm okay, my world is okay, I can deal with anything. That's what I think when I'm
okay.
When I'm feeling safe. If I don't feel safe, if I don't feel that the world is safe, if I don't feel like my life is safe, if I don't feel like my body, my emotions are safe, then I just get overwhelmed with everything. And I think so. I think there's an underlying fear and lack of safety. And I think with the way that the world is today and the way that people are, it's really easy to not feel safe.
And why do we do things that we do, like comfort foods and all of that, to feel safe? It's all of it. Before we even begin, for anybody that's never experienced this sound healing, when you play with an intention. And we've explained this before, but just brief here. You play with an intention, the sound goes out, the certain frequencies go out, you're sending energy, doesn't matter how you're sending it. And with that intention, the healing begins. Am I explaining that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I do group sound healings and when I do individual sessions, I don't have an intention. I talk with my clients and our clients and encourage them to have an intention for themselves, because it is their themselves and their body that is going to be taking in those sounds and healing. So, I mean, I think for the podcast, just to sort of illustrate how much of your life and how much of who you are can be influenced by sound, that I'm doing like different kinds of sort of big intentions, although overwhelm for today kind of, covers it all. But the other thing I want to say before I start to play for overwhelm is that it when I was studying sound healing, I learned that when, like, in each cell in our body, and how many gazillion millions of cells do we have? But in our cell, in each body, in our body, in each cell, there's like photons in there, and they're kind of moving around. They're like bumping into each other. And sometimes they bump into the walls of the cell. And every time they bump into each other or they bump into the walls of a cell, that makes a sound. That produces sound
Huh.
inside of that cell. And since sound produces light, then every cell, when it's producing sound, is also producing light, in particular infrared. And so that's how our cells communicate with each other, is through sound and light.
Never realized that. I could maybe go with the light thing, but not, I never realized the sound thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not sound that we can hear. Otherwise it would be crazy. The world would be full of
Well,
white
when we
noise.
say that, let's look at it this way. It's a vibration. So there's a
Mhm.
vibration from cell to cell. That's the sound. But what is sound? It's vibration,
Yeah.
right?
And the actual communication in between cells works through the infrared light, which is generated by the sound. But to me, that's such a lovely image, and it shows how powerful sound healing is. So if I'm playing here and you're listening in your headphones and somebody else is just listening in their car, maybe, or
Sure.
except, and somebody else is listening with earbuds on, it doesn't matter, because all the little cells, like if you imagine all the little cells in your body are just happily producing sound and light, then then the really powerful sounds of the instruments that I play are going to do amazing things in your body
Hmm.
and in your mind. So
I'm
when I'm
overwhelmed.
playing for overwhelm, what I would like everybody to do, besides closing your eyes and doing the deep breaths and that stuff, is just to, kind of imagine, like, just try to feel that your whole, like, we're made of light, we're made of sound and light, and you are made of sound and light. And so it's just going to be a meeting of the sound that I play with the sound that is you.
I look at this as like a midday break. Yeah, it's like it's like people take a coffee
Yeah.
break and a cigarette break, depending on whatever you're into. This is um, a sound break, if you will, like just a meditative sound break, really.
Yeah. And I think it's why they're called sound baths. A lot of people call, when you play it for people, they call them sound baths. And I think it's just because, I mean, what do people do when they're stressed out? Lots of people. You run a warm bath and you get in there.
Mm.
Then you just relax. So,
And that even goes back to what we were saying before of the comfort thing. There's one of them,
yeah.
taking a warm bath and just kind of treating yourself.
Yep.
Just need a moment, everybody. Just need a moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we always run out of time. So why don't
Okay.
we jump in? Yeah, why don't we play
So
now?
let's do we have time for about 10 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's do 10 minutes for overwhelm then.
Excellent.
I'm going to switch to my studio.
And that's her studio where everything happens. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to us, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com.
Okay. So we're going to play for overwhelm today. So everybody listening now and in the future and replays, just close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you breathe out through your mouth, you can make a sound like, and that's just letting go of some of the stress that's in your body. Could be from today, could be from the week, could be from the whole year. And as I said earlier, once your eyes are closed and you start to hear the sounds, just try to feel in your body and thank your body for being so wonderful that it produces sound and light in every single teeny little cell. And that's where the sounds will go.
I actually put that on the speakers that I have, nice and loud.
Yeah.
Sounds really good, got to tell you.
Cool. Good.
Yeah. Switch your mic back.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah,
I always
it's
forget something.
very high infidelity. It's this, the sound is there, the warm tones, even the bass and even the highest, like just very chill, very relaxing. Um,
Hmm.
how do we know now that was played for being overwhelmed and taking that away? How do we know it's working? And when do we typically feel the results? Is it right away, just the calming effect? Or do you, progressively, another hour or so, you might feel a little more chill? How does it usually work? What do you hear?
I think it's different for different people.
Sure.
Um, I think that um, the visceral body experience of listening to the sounds and of having your body and your mind relax, I think that's what is, that's what's in your mind right now. And that's what will be in your mind, until the session is over
Right.
and you go home kind of thing. So I think what happens to lots of people and oftentimes, I mean, I play in the daytime, but I also play in the evenings. And when I play in the evenings, people basically just, well, right now, because I'm playing virtually, they just, turn off Zoom and,
Mm.
crawl into bed. And you do actually, actually everybody that I've ever played for has slept really, really well, at least the first night, if not for a bunch of more nights.
I had a Reiki session, and again, we're talking energy here, a
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago. And what was interesting with the whole session was this time was the practitioner said, lie down, light a white candle, no electronics, no lights, go to bed right after. And I did. And I'll tell you, I had like kind of crazy dreams about one situation that I'm involved in. And it was like interesting clarity. It was very different.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I would
Yeah, I
imagine
mean,
it would be the same thing with the sound bath.
yeah, and I think, I mean, what I find fascinating is what pops up in people's minds when I'm playing, because people have images and like, you know, I mean, people who don't consider themselves to be psychic or, in any way
Hmm.
connected to anything outside of this physical life, and they have visitations from like people and places, and
Yeah.
they go traveling, and and so it's anywhere from any of those kind of esoteric things to just, sometimes people see colors, or they think of colors, or they experience something sensory, like a smell or a taste. Sometimes it's memories that come back. So all those various things I think they're things that are within us at that time, right?
Hmm.
So that's within my clients have those things kind of inside them, that because, and this has to do with overwhelm too, because of all the overwhelm, because of all the things that we're running around trying to do and get done, and you know,
For sure.
and you go here and there. We don't notice that maybe today I was thinking about my father who passed away, whatever, you know, however many years ago. But so that stuff kind of comes more to the forefront and into people's awareness. But I think what I mean, I'll tell you a little story. Like last time we did a podcast, I played for joy, and we were talking about how mostly people come because they have the more negative feelings that they want to get rid of or have less of, or whatever.
Hmm.
And so we played for joy, and then we were talking afterwards about, like, does that make us immediately joyful, or you know um anyway, and so then at the end of the podcast, I puddle around in the studio and clean things up, and then I went back inside. So probably about a half hour after the podcast ended, and I walked into my house and I saw my little dog sleeping on her chair. I have a little white toy poodle, And I was just overcome with joy, like complete. And I was walking down my driveway to go back in, from my studio to go back into the house. And, my little mind, was nattering away at me like, well, maybe that didn't work. And maybe it's not going to make anybody feel joyful. Because that's the first time I've ever, consciously played for joy.
Hmm.
And so my mind's telling me all the way down the driveway, it's like, probably didn't work, probably didn't affect people. And and then I walk in and I'm like standing there like, and I just bent down and I started patting my dog, which I do, a lot. But how I was feeling was like incredible joy for having this joyful little being in my life, right? And I don't look at my dog and feel like that. I mean, I love her, right?
Sure.
But mostly I'm like, oh, she's still sleeping, or oh, she's being a little pest and I'm trying to work, or whatever. Or she's running around. But so, I mean, maybe that's what happened to other people in a similar way. And we're not used to kind of, being able to detect that. Lots of people have said that after they sleep really well the first night, they feel calmer, but more energized after. That's very, very common.
What I'm getting here, we're out of time, but it seems that the sound bath, the energy, the intention, all awakens your awareness. Now, of course, you love your dog. I love my dog, and I think it just elevated your state of joy and gratefulness for your dog. Just one example there.
Yeah.
So all of the stuff is in us, but this just brings it up, or brings it down if you're overwhelmed. I guess.
If you're overwhelmed and your dog's trying to play with you, you're not very nice to your dog sometimes.
No, yeah, exactly right.
Like,
and
get out of my way. I'm busy.
Right, because I'm all stressed out. I'm trying to deal with this, that, and the other thing all at the same time. How do we find you? If somebody wants to do a sound bath, I know you do group sessions as well. Best way, what is it?
Well, right now I have a special on where I'm giving people free 30-minute sound baths, like instead of a consultation. So if you want a 30-minute, like if you want to experience my sound bath for 30 whole minutes, it's completely free. So just go to heal.me/Barb Sounds. That's my booking site.
Gotcha.
So heal.me/Barb Sounds. Tickets for my group sound baths are at barbsounds.eventbrite.ca. So you can just go there. And if you subscribe to that, then you'll get notifications when new events come up. And the other thing is that I also have all of my podcasts, and I think this is about number 15 that we've done. And they're all up on my YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/@barbsounds, then you'll be able to see, you can either re-listen to, or, if you're listening to the audio only live, then you can see them on video. So if you want to watch them again or watch ones you missed,
fantastic.
Just go to there.
And there's always little nuggets of information and usually a sound healing, with an intention. And that was just 9-10 minutes what we did here today. Imagine if it was 30 minutes and it's free. Why wouldn't you? It makes you feel, even just to relax for the few minutes is reason enough, but there's much more benefit than that once you absorb the intention. Barb, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Yep. And I'm going to chill now that I've got my I'm going to come down now.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday afternoon. It's the end of the week. It's a good time to chill.
There you go. All right. We'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Okay.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.